Mate, just firstly, Jay, is this your hood or what? It's not Newcastle. Hey, it's Mac Attack. The fight's a ripper. I said on the telecast, I think this will be one of the fights of the year, if not the fight of the year in Australia. But across the world, I think we're going to see an absolute barn burner between these two. And what I like, watching Joey Spencer's clip, we've got a kid with belief. He's only 24, but he is coming to fight. 90-10 amateur record, 9-time American champion in the juniors. He is a serious threat to Tim Tszyu. And look, he believes he can end his career. I hope he doesn't. I hope the Tszyu train rolls on. But this is a really dangerous fight for Tim Tszyu. And if he's not careful, Spencer could inflict damage.
Saw Spencer in against Jesus Ramos. You've watched that fight. What did you sort of see in there?
I saw a fighter that's powerful, but he leaves himself open to shots, and I think that will play into Tim's hands. I think Spencer's got a nice right hand. He's got a good left hook as well, so he's powerful, and he's got pretty good ring IQ. But I noticed he's got a low guard, so I think Tim, for me, his kryptonite Spencer was the straight right, and that's one of Tim's primary punches. So I think Tim has the repertoire. I think he's got the shot selection. I think he's got the IQ to beat Spencer. But the big question, Jay, as you've raised yourself, is does Tim have the mental capacity to come back from what he's gone through in the last 12 months? That's going to be the X factor for me.
How does he deal with that mental load? I mean, I asked him at the press conference. He was sort of stumped and sort of said he's got a few things, but he mainly just deals with it. How big a factor will that be in this fight, that mental pressure?
You know what, Jay? I think part of the mental pressure was amplified by Kostya's presence in Orlando. Now, look, I think it was a beautiful narrative. We all did. Beautiful family story. It was great to see father and son there again. But Tim had been on the journey for 8 years without Kostya, who'd only been there for his debut at the SCG. And he went 22, 23 fights without Kostya in his corner. And maybe it just threw the dynamics out a little bit. But I think Tim won't have Kostya there this time. I think he feels like, look, this is his journey. He took some lessons. He said his dad spoke to him about a few things and he'll learn from that. But I think Tim will learn a lot from Bakram Mirzalayev's fight. Sometimes a loss can be more of a learning than a victory. And I think that will be the case for Tim Tszyu. I don't think his career's over. I think he can rebound again. And when he beats Spencer, and I think he will, it won't be easy, but Tim, I believe, can stop him. And then he's back in world title contention again.
What do you see his path? Obviously, Fondora is with PBC. He's fighting a guy called Shordale Booker later this month. Is the path that Fondora rematch for Tim and maybe through a guy like Keith Thurman in the middle there?
Good question. Look, I know Tim just said that he would like to have rematches against Fondora and Bakram, but I think there was a bit of maybe a 3-fight plan this year for Tim to have this fight against Spencer, then hopefully overcome Joey, and then maybe a nice prelude to Thurman, and then we have another rematch later in the year against Fondora. And look, they're in the PBC stable, Tim and Fondora, so it makes sense if of course, Fondora wins this upcoming fight, which I think he will. So I think Tszyu Fondora is a beautiful rematch. I think it has to happen, and I know there's been talk about having it here in Australia. Now, whether Fondora is amenable to that, to come down under to defend his belt, who knows? But I'd love to see Tim Tszyu fight here against Fondora, and if not Fondora, then there's a number of other contenders, Jay, isn't there? I mean, we've seen, of course, Terence Crawford, and then there's guys like Madrimov and Virgil Ortiz.
What do you make of the landscape there at 154? We saw Virgil Ortiz, a good, solid win against Madrimov this past weekend. What's that landscape like at 154?
Geez, what a fight that was, Jay. That was an absolute ball terror, and I got to say, I would love to see Ortiz against Mirzallayev. Can you imagine those two? Heavy hands, volume punches. They would go at it. It'd be a ripper at 154. But I think I'm glad that Tim didn't fight Virgil Ortiz when he was meant to. I think that would have been a really dangerous fight at the time, so it's probably a good thing it was postponed. But I still believe that Tim's got the ring IQ and the natural talent to be a force in his division. Will he be the top dog one day? Maybe not. Who knows? But I don't think this is the end for him. But like a footy team that loses a couple, Jay, you need a confidence booster. He needs to get this confidence booster against Joey Spencer, and if he does that, he puts himself right in there among the top 5 or 6 again.
Big story around at the moment that you've been covering is Brock Jarvis and Jeff Fenech sort of split. They're back together. What's the latest on that situation as we head into that Thurman fight?
It won't make an episode of the Brady Bunch, will it? More like Family Feud. Look, I've spoken to Jeff a couple of times, and Jeff's adamant that he won't be returning to Brock Jarvis's corner, which is disappointing because they've been on the journey together, and I know Brock is loved like a son by Jeff. He has so much time for him. He even dated his daughter for 5 or 6 years. So look, Jeff would love to be there. I think he still said, look, I want to be there, prepared to jump in the ring to help him if I can. But I know that Billy Dibb's been doing a little bit with Brock Jarvis to help him out. Brock will have his dad there on the day. So look, it's a real moment of truth for Brock Jarvis. I wish Jeff was there. I think he would have been a better fighter with Jeff there. But Jeff clearly feels that the reasons for their split are multifaceted. It's not just Brock maybe wanting to be his own man, but also the feeling that Jeff probably wasn't consulted about this fight because it was a dangerous one to take against Thurman at this stage of Brock's career. But Brock's going to have to do it without Jeff, and if he can, it will be the boil over of the year.
Nice one. Thanks, Pete.
Anytime, Macca.